How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. I'm your host, Nicky P, here with my lovely wife. This is episode number 37 with the Launchpad Media, always launching ideas in your direction. How we doing today, baby?
I'm all right. My name is Lizzie, by the way, if you didn't know. You probably knew, but I didn't know.
I mean, if they listen, they probably know.
They probably know. But if you're new, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
You can call her sweet chocolate ass if you want to. I don't care.
I mean, I'll answer to whatever as long as you're nice about it.
I mean, I'm not gonna dispute that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, folks, we got a fun episode today. We're doing a callback to one of our previous guests who was talking about a song, and it's gonna be fun for the opening analysis portion. We got some new music on the Bandcamp coming up after.
Seems like a fun one.
And we have a fun interview with the wonderful Mr. Ben Pangy, the
Pangy.
Liberty. I'm going to call him Pangy. I don't give a fuck. Pronounce all how he wants to pronounce it.
Our favorite Liberty hippie.
I get called Pinecone. Fuck
I
people.
know.
So, Ben is the host of the Homesteads and Homeschools podcast.
So fun.
Lizzie was actually on that show.
I was on that show. I'm not just saying it's fun because I was on the show.
She's actually,
he had Harold Thornborough on there. It's like one of my favorite permaculture podcaster guys, and I was just like nerding out completely.
Yeah, she was. She's a fucking nerd, folks. Make no mistakes about it. Anyways, so let's drop a few links here in the beginning. If you want to support us, which we could use, because I want to go to Pork Stock this year, and while it's happening, I'd also like my child to be able to eat. So you can head over to supportsll.com, and you can join the Freedom Choir, where you can hear all of the crazy stuff that I cut out of the interviews for time, because Johnny doesn't like the episodes being too long. Literally, there's sometimes hours of material gets cut from these interviews because I will ramble forever talking to people, and sometimes the shit that gets cut, like I hate cutting it.
It's gold on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, not to mention like there's some deals like if you can actually get discounts on the Freedom Song 365 project, which if you want to just sign up for that, it's freedomsong365.com. And all that stuff goes to help keep the lights on here. And we don't have an anarchy basement like the punk rock libertarians guys. We just have like, I don't know, what would you call this? Like
it's a DIY basement. Middle class America yuppie basement. I don't know.
I don't make enough money for us to be yuppies. No. So, also, I'll do a quick plug here. If you're a musician struggling, check out the Introvert Musician podcast. That's another thing that I do. So, anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the show today. So, what are we talking about today, Liz?
We are going to be analyzing the song "Signs" by the
Five-Man Electrical Band?
The Five-Man Electrical Band.
Later repopularized by Tesla.
Yes, as we found out, that's apparently the version of the song that you were more familiar with.
Yeah, I heard the intro to this shit, and like, I've never fucking heard of this song in my life. And oh, no, this is definitely the song I know, but I've never heard of this version.
Yeah, so go Canada. But yeah, let's get into the lyrics.
Do you feel like I should have some type of kinship with this song, right? If you're to go off of just the first verse, you'd think.
Long-haired freaky people. That was you for a little while, wasn't it?
Liz, that's been me a lot of parts of my life.
Yeah.
So, go on.
All right, and the sign said, "Long-haired freaky people need not apply." So I tucked my hair up under my hat, and I went in to ask him why. He said, "You look like a fine, upstanding young man. I think you'll do." So I took off my hat, and I said, "Imagine that. Huh, me working for you."
Sign, everywhere a sign. Blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that. Can't you read the sign?
Yep, there you go.
All right. So, right off the bat, what kind of fucking dude is this? Like, what? This guy's an asshole.
Kind of. I mean, he's putting a lot of effort into just like being like, you're a jerk because you want to like be able to decide who works with you and who doesn't. Meh.
Yeah, that's an asshole move. Like, okay. I thought you thought you were the kind of person I'd want to associate myself with, not one of these dudes that's gonna fucking do a bunch of drugs and not show up for work.
Right. He could have taken that opportunity to say, you know, you were actually mistaken, and I am an upstanding young man. I just happen to have long hair. Maybe you should re-examine that
But he's
belief
not.
of yours.
He's clearly an asshole.
Well, yeah, that was kind of the tack he took with it.
But guess what? He's not doing himself any services because
he's not doing the other long-haired freaky people any services either.
Because when this is all done, the dude's gonna be like, okay, you proved to be just the fuckface I thought you were gonna be.
Yeah, right.
This is why I don't hire you people.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, which is awful because having been a long-haired freaky person, it is disappointing to me. And guys like him have kept me out of work. I got reasons. I used to get pulled over by cops all the time.
Oh, don't even.
Yeah, so anyways, and the sign said anybody caught trespassing would be shot on sight. So I jumped on the fence and I yelled at the house, hey, what gives you the right to put up a fence to keep me out or keep Mother Nature in? If God was here, he'd tell you to your face, man, you're some kind of sinner. Back to the chorus. Yeah, so what gives me that right?
It's my property?
Yeah, it's weird how little people give a shit about that.
Well, I mean, lyrically, he just says he jumped over the fence to yell at the guy. Like, why?
Once again, this guy's not serving his cause, Eddie. He clearly is a fucking asshole. Like, he's going out picking fights for no fucking reason.
It didn't do anything to you. Like, there's a sign. You could just be like, oh, okay, well, yep, that sucks. Whatever.
And by the way, I don't think most of those people are really trying to keep Mother Nature in, perhaps. They're just trying to take care of a piece of property. And if you were to actually study and do any of the fucking study on this, private property is actually probably one of the best ways to take care of Mother Nature because it keeps it from being fucking, it keeps it from being overpopulated. Keeps, look at how mismanaged the states fucking keep their property for.
You can basically, because you can benefit from your own efforts without someone coming in and screwing it up, it makes it more. You know what animals for you to actually put in some effort.
You know what animals we're never running out of?
What, deer?
Cows, pigs, and chicken.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Never gonna fucking happen. Like, humanity will not let that happen because they're fucking profitable.
And delicious.
They are delicious. Look, if fucking people could get elephants to breed and fucking do that, they would never run into them either.
I mean,
they'd be fucking sending ivory out all the whole. You know how many people you could feed with an elephant?
I wouldn't want to. They're really like. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not going to get
I'm just saying.
all weird about it because PETA just proved they suck this week, so I'm not even going to go there. But.
Yeah, no, PETA proves they suck every minute of their life, honey. I love animals, so fuck PETA. Because these are dipshits. For those who are listening to this, whatever, we just had PETA come out and talk shit on Steve Irwin.
On his birthday, the late Steve Irwin, and they said something to the effect of he was harassing animals across the globe. What a jerk!
They deserve to have their peace and quiet.
And you're like, what? You probably did the most for animals.
Those fucking lions would kill you.
Because people freaking loved to see him working. They're like, oh, there's these animals in Australia. Yeah, we should care about that. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Now, hey, you, mister, can't you read? You gotta have a shirt and tie to get a seat. You can't even watch. No, you can't eat. You ain't supposed to be here. The sign said you gotta have a membership card to get inside. Yeah, once again, my property. That's with everything else on the planet. There's a scarcity of resources, and value is determined by what people are willing to pay for them.
And that particular establishment, apparently, they're paying for exclusivity.
Yeah.
They want to feel extra fancy when they go in there, so they don't want to be with people who, aren't putting a little effort into the way they look.
Yeah. Do you want him to just come into your place and say, hey, man, you got to fucking hang out with me? No, nobody wants that shit. That's fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the last one here, sweetie.
All right, and the sign said, "Oh, I see. This is a setup." And the sign said, "Everybody welcome. Come in, kneel down, and pray." But when they passed around the plate at the end of it all, I didn't have a penny to pay. So I got me a pen and a paper, and I made my own little sign. I said, "Thank you, Lord, for thinking about me. I'm alive and doing fine." Woo.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was stopping him from doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's my issue. What was your point in the first 3 verses? Just to say, hey, God, thanks for life? I'm sure all those people feel pretty ecstatic about being alive, too. Or are you trying to set yourself at, like, a...
Well, I mean, whatever pressure there is to put money in the plate, you're putting on yourself. Like... Nobody has ever. I mean, there are churches where there's a little bit of a.
We're not going to go there
because
how many churches have you gone to where they ask for your financial records to tell you exactly?
Well,
how much
I
you
have
pay?
been to that church, but that is not most of the churches that
Liz,
I've been.
It's more churches than you think.
Yeah, that's just. But you know,
like
you can just walk out.
There's an actual number that people are supposed to give, apparently, like a percentage of your income.
Yeah, that's a biblical thing, or at least
lots of places fucking believe that number is a real deal.
Well,
thing.
I mean, yeah, and that's fine, but I feel like you're supposed to let people do that on their own conscience. You're not actually supposed to be like, no, we checked your financial records, sir,
and we're deducting this from your account. It comes out before your paycheck, so
what?
Don't get behind.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Well, obviously we know where I'm fucking.
We all know where this one's going. But it was fun to talk about.
This is
it is a fun song.
This is a Bob Dylan piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not particularly logical. There's not great arguments.
It sucks because I'm a long-haired freaky person. I'm all about that shit.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway.
Welcome to I Heard This Happen, the segment for aging hipsters. Each week we scour Bandcamp for underground new releases to wow your teenage children. So without further ado, here's new music.
I heard this happen.
Yeah.
What did you find?
You wanna
I'm gonna be honest, folks. I almost tried to steal Liz's I Heard This Happen.
I found one and I was playing it and he's like, "Oh, I like this. Are you actually gonna use this one? You seem like you're waffling a bit."
Because
she
waffles constantly.
I do, because I want to make the best choice in all the choices. So
I'm gonna be honest, folks. I just want to
is everywhere.
The minute I find a record that like I don't hate and like that I think, oh yeah, I can totally go with this, I just go with it. I'm not gonna spend 30 fucking million years looking for a record.
This is the literal story of our lives, guys.
Make the goddamn decision. Let's just do it. Stop wasting your life. Get on to more important shit.
Totally, but I do actually really, really like this record, so it was no hardship to actually settle on it.
Tell me about this fucking record.
It is called Pastel Skies, and the artist is Detuned Goom. It came out on the 20th, and it is, it makes me feel...
It is a fantastic record with the gayest album cover in the fucking universe.
Yeah,
they really need to get rid of that text. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I love this record. It's an amazing record. That stupid fucking text kills that image. Just get rid of the text. The image is fine, minus that text.
Well, okay, the image that I get from this, it reminds me of, like, you know, the 80s, like, middle school dance scene from the end of Stranger Things, like the last season. Like, it reminds me of that. Like, it's so 80s. It's so, like,
yeah, no, I get it.
You're in a dark room. It's like, oh my gosh, we're feeling this moment. It's so special.
And there's no vampire sex, though.
Well, no.
Where's the vampire orgy?
There
Liz?
wasn't in that show either. It's a very specific thing that it does for me. But the whole record is kind of like that. It's so 80s synth poppy goodness. I don't know. Check it out. See what you think. What do you got?
All right. So I kind of went another route. And it's been a while since I've brought one of these up, but we have some stoner metal.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, you remember when I used to do these all the time?
Yes, I do. And I was like, okay, when you're
another stoner song.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's so heavy.
It's all about the sludge. What's all that about? Anyway, so Ordos and is the artist, and the album name is The End. They're from Uppsala, Sweden.
Yeah.
The album came out on the 22nd,
nice.
So just a couple days ago. It has 8 tracks, and that's because some of them are fucking 8 minutes long. There's a couple 7, 8 minute tracks.
It's only right.
Yeah. It reminds me of Mastodon, Queens of the Stone Age, more Queens of the Stone Age. But it also has like some moments where the guy gets kind of Jim Morrison and the Doors on the vocals. The songs I chose to highlight on here: The Hunter of Hades, Embrace the Dark, because it's got this sweet fucking like this sweet outro kind of deal to it.
Nice.
And then Uppsala St. Eric, which is just killer. So I really enjoyed the textured approach to the vocals on the record. It's like it gets pretty heavy. It's got the Jim Morrison-esque cleans I was talking about, but then it's got kind of like a Troy Sanders styled growl, and it really works for it.
Nice.
There's a fantastic squelch on the guitars that's incredibly appealing.
Man, that cover art is something.
They're crazy thick, but like somehow like they stay heavy while still squelchy. It was a real fine balance. I thought they walked the guitars. I will say, as with all stoner sludge rock, they're not really breaking any molds. But I also think that people that listen to stoner metal and sludge rock, like
you're gonna dig it.
They don't really want anyone to break the mold. Like, this fucking works. Just keep doing it.
I mean, I can't argue that.
So, I mean, I could say that is my opinion of stoner metal. So apparently that's
Send your emails to now.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess a quick little beginning out of here. Anything we need to pitch before we get to our interview with Ben?
No, just like definitely if you enjoy this interview, check out Homesteads and Homeschools, because it is a heck of a podcast. I really enjoy it, and he
if you're not heading over to
about that stuff.
If you're not heading over to ancapmusic.com to check out our website, you should go there. Like, seriously,
all the things.
Literally, you can join the Freedom Choir for $1 a month, which gets you all the interviews and stuff. Technically, I think you can join for less than $1 a month, because I think like I offer like.
There's
you can spend $10 and get a year membership, and like, yeah, it'd be kind of silly not to. I'm actually working on some arrangements where you're gonna get deals for different tiers in there. It's a thing that people are doing now, and I'm excited about it.
Nice.
Like, we got to talk to our boy over at Anarcho Coffee, and maybe our dude at Liberty Mugs too.
Oh snap!
We gotta get some deals out there.
Yeah. So, you can check out all of the new developments over at ancapmusic.com.
Welcome, Ben Pangy. Is that how you pronounce it? I've heard a lot of people pronounce it a lot of different ways. That's how I assume it goes.
It's a G.
Oh, see, I thought it was Pangy, like Pangea. That's what.
And I used to think it was Pangy, and then I changed it. But we're gonna stick with what I chose anyways, because fuck the guest.
What?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We love our guests, especially this guest. This guest actually had me on his show.
He did,
and I'm super excited about his podcast.
Yeah.
And he's been the lone and sole beneficiary of the podcast for many a while now.
I don't know about that.
But no, it's two of my favorite subjects. Oh, you mean our podcast?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know what you're
Yeah, okay.
It's the first Patreon subscriber, Liz.
Yes, that's true. See, you should treat this man like royalty. He's been good to our show.
Yes. Anyway, so Ben has his own show now.
Yes.
Finally, after a lot of talk about it, called Homesteads and Homeschools. Is where we're at now.
Yep, that's where it is now. Took a while, it was one of those things I want to do, and just never have the time, and finally got the Libsyn set up, and I figured, I set the money there, so now I have to do it.
It's generally the way to get yourself to do things.
I'm super excited because I'm literally like his niche market. Like, I'm like the homeschooling homestead person who's just like, yeah, let's talk about this stuff.
It's been interesting so far. There's been a few people that I've talked to that it's really cool, and I kind of go in places I wasn't necessarily planning on going. But it is. It's I don't know. We'll see how it develops as it goes on.
Are you having more crossover than you seem to think you were going to have?
I think I may. I think that's gonna. The crossover is there, right? Like the people are there. The issue is me threshing out both at the same time without having it completely disjointed into two separate shows or segments, if you will. You know. So, but we'll see how that.
I mean, they go hand in hand to me. Like,
yeah.
If we move off the grid, like we're.
And there's a few people that I've been in touch with that you know, maybe talking about that, and there's some other guys that, you know, it's get into even more of the home stuff, right? Even like the homeschool, the homesteading, they like home births.
Oh wow.
You know, like they kind of do some other stuff out of the home, like everything. They just kind of centralize it back on the family almost, and go from there. It's kind of an interesting perspective.
We tried for a home birth.
It's a long story. But
yeah, after 3 days of labor, I think we just said, you know, this probably isn't happening.
Yeah, we were in Brooklyn for our first son, and we had thought about it, but it was just not going to happen. So they went to the midwife and did that whole thing, and you know, that didn't happen. So we had to drive over to the hospital, and she's, you know, been in labor for, I don't know, a number of hours, and I'm going over railroad tracks, and she's yelling at me to slow down, and you know.
Yeah, Liz, you dilated to 9 centimeters twice at home and just couldn't make it past it. And so after 3 days, I made the executive decision. Let's go fucking do this. And just since people are questioning, did we do it wrong? And this is why you have to go to the professionals. No, because she went, got the shot, and still only made it to 9, and eventually had to have it cut out.
Yeah,
it was just apparently she wasn't doing it.
Well, no, and that gets messy too with all the epidural and all the other stuff, and you know, because it slows things down, and then you got to take another drug to speed things.
I almost got in a fist fight with a nurse. It was awesome.
Yeah. We showed up to the hospital, and you know, she's like in labor, and they're taking us in, and somebody tells my wife to go like sit down in the waiting room while I like fill out paperwork or whatever. I'm like,
yeah, you're fucking mind.
You know? And it was my sister-in-law who is a nurse, kind of stepped in and was like, no, she's in labor, she's going. And you know, she knew the rigmarole of it all.
And that was actually what I was just about to say, is make sure I think everyone should get a midwife, if for no other reason than to educate you on the shit that they are allowed and not allowed to do in a hospital that you don't know. Because they will push you the fuck around if given the opportunity. And you know, the first one, the midwife, actually, she had privileges at the hospital that we went to. So it was really nice in that sense, because the doctor was there, and the doctor was like saying things and trying to push things, and the midwife was like, no, you don't, you know, we don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, like we're gonna keep doing this, no, you go away. And it was nice. She was really a pretty good advocate for. And that's the thing, like our midwife showed up there. She wasn't actually there for the birth, I don't think, because she had something else, another patient to attend to. But we, if nothing else, she did well to educate me enough that I could advocate for Liz.
Yeah.
It's important to have.
Yeah.
It is.
But this is a show about music, folks. So
just off the beaten path a little. No worries.
Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found your way to the Liberty Path?
I don't know. I think it's always kind of been in there a little bit. You know, I've always been a little bit of a long hair, kind of, you know, pushing back here and there. And when I was younger,
everywhere, signs.
Yeah, right. I never knew. I never, like, you know, when you're young, you're a teenager, and you're just pushing back to kind of push back. And it comes from a place that I wasn't quite sure of why necessarily, but you know, certain things didn't make sense. Certain rules didn't make sense. You know, why do I have to do this if it's just me? If I'm the only one involved, like, why do I need to do this? And it just, you know, I remember I had a teacher in high school that he history teacher, I guess, or global studies, whatever it was in New York. But I think it was a Fab 60s elective that he taught, that he did this in. But he asked us when we sat down, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and JFK, like, what do we know about them? What are they famous for? Right? And you got your cherry tree, you got the Emancipation Proclamation, and JFK is this, I don't know, hero, right? And he sits down, there's no cherry tree, like that's a lie, right? There's never a cherry tree that he cut down. The Emancipation Proclamation really didn't actually free the slaves, right? It's the South had already said we're a different country, and so again, that kind of, it's not really anything that happened, right? And JFK is this hero who did what? Who died? I mean, he got shot, and so we worshipped him as this
on his wife.
Hero. Yeah, and
That's that.
so, and that's it, right? And so we're taught to kind of revel these leaders as something
Was
that
Tom Woods your teacher?
No, and that's it. And I want to get back and talk to this guy, because it really kind of, as I look back now, I'm like, whoa, like that was, and it was mid 90s or whatever, so it wasn't too crazy, I don't think, in terms of what you could say and what you couldn't say. But yeah, and I think from there, kind of, I went to college and read Ayn Rand and learned about Noam Chomsky, and I think that was my first real introduction to libertarianism, and it kind of turned me off. And then Chomsky.
Well, I'm curious, what did you read by Chomsky?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. It just, I remember reading or like getting into it, and it was just, I don't know. I just couldn't like get on with it. I don't know.
Was it Weapons of... No,
I don't know. It was in an environmental philosophy class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I enjoyed my environmental philosophy class. It was actually probably, my environmental philosophy class had probably the most educated professor in the college. Right. And he was one of the few teachers that went to Yale, which was interesting in and of itself. Yeah, the first one I read was about like the bullshitness of the two-party politics. I can't remember what it was called offhand. I still own it somewhere, but it was Manufacture of Consent was one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know it was like one of those things where
it's an actual libertarian book, but not a commie book.
Well, and the professor, I didn't realize this until later. I was kind of looking back, and he's a pretty left-leaning libertarian, which I didn't know at the time, but kind of makes sense now. And I think that might have been sort of, maybe it wasn't necessarily Chomsky, but it was Chomsky with the undertones of that left-leaning slant.
And frankly, if you take the economics out of Chomsky, he's pretty good.
Right. And I think that's kind of why I was, but I was 20 years old and didn't think past. What I was presented with, I'm like, I don't want that. And
all I knew about it at the time was that I was on a list now.
Yeah.
Oh, these kids reading Chomsky. We got to worry about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But I didn't realize this, but I went to school. Steve Horwitz was a professor at my school, and I'm kind of like, it's one of those things you look back and like, I wish I took class with him, but he's not there anymore. But
interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Would you have gotten a fight with him?
Probably not. I don't think I would have done anything at that point. I was still trying to feel my way around, because it was, my parents were fairly conservative, and so I had a little bit of that, but at the same time, like with a whole, like I don't care what you do, right? If you want to go do your drugs, if you want to go, whatever, as long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Which way did you go with that, by the way?
What do you mean? Like, how did I? Well, what side did I pick? Or?
Well, that manifests differently. So, like, for me, I always had that same option out there, which took away my desire to do any of it. Because if it wasn't rebelling, what the fuck was the point?
Yeah,
some people go the other way.
No, and I think as I got older, it was kind of one of those things that pushed a little bit, but it was never. I don't know. It was never anything. I was like, it pushed me into anything. You know, it was just one of those things where I think I don't know. I mean, it was there if I wanted to or whatever. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I think it takes the urgency out of a lot of that stuff. And if it doesn't feel like you have to do it because you might never get the opportunity again, like, oh yeah, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
I know it's there.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't, if I'm not supposed to do something because, like, I'm going to do something because I want to do it, not because someone tells me I shouldn't or because someone tells me I should. You know, it's usually when I make decisions, I try to make them because I'm making it. I try to be fairly rational when I make decisions. Of course, I'm down here in Georgia now, but I don't know.
I try to be contrarian about most of my decisions.
Yeah.
Is Georgia not a very rational place? Is that what you're getting at?
No, it's good. We do enjoy it. And it's you know, we came from New England. I grew up in upstate New York.
Oh wow,
you know, we
that would
lived
be
in
different.
Vermont for a couple of years. And
He grew up in even more upstate than where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful place. I love it. And even the winter you can deal with, but it's just falling apart, you know?
Yeah, economically, there's literally no reason to be in that state.
Yeah.
And I'll being fair, there's probably like, I'll say 2 good seasons. Because winter is awesome for a couple days. I'm talking from a visual standpoint. I think it's truly only beautiful during the summer and the fall.
Gotcha.
Because in the winter and springtime, you're either all the trees are dead and that's disgusting, or it's in the springtime everything's melted, so it's just one giant fucking mud pit.
Yep.
And that I know what's
even winter.
Well, more winters like that now too, because we don't get as much snow as we used to. But
okay, winter is pretty like when the first snow comes and all the snow's dusted everywhere, but then once it gets packed down, it gets all nasty and it just sits there. It's just ugly, you know.
Well, and you're in the middle of June and you still got 5-foot drifts of just black tarry snow sitting on the side of all the roads.
Okay, that does sound pretty unappealing.
That was it. I remember like that was one of the tipping points to move when we were in Vermont. It was just, you know, it's like March, April. Like my son's birthday is in May, and you know we wanted to go down to the pond and maybe go swimming. It's just too cold for it. It's like, man, this is, you know, I don't know. I went to college up near the Canadian border, and it was cold, and I was like okay with it. But then we came down to Georgia for a year for my wife to do her residency, and I just was like, you don't have to freeze to death. Like you don't have to be miserable for half of the year. You don't have to be cold for half of the year, and it just, you know. I don't have to scrape my car. I don't have to plow my driveway. It just made life easier. I can grow more things in the garden.
Yeah, that's definite plus.
I mean, I like being cold, so.
I know. I'm not going to talk you into Texas. I've given up. It's all right.
No, you're definitely not talking me to Texas. Like, I would think New Orleans. I could maybe get into that.
Okay, New Orleans is just as far south.
Yeah, but New Orleans also is an interesting place.
Oh, God. Okay.
Texas is a boring place and hot.
I see.
At least New Orleans is interesting.
Okay.
Interesting will do a lot to help your cause, Liz.
I see.
And all your talk of the stockyards has never sounded interesting to me.
I see.
The stockyards, huh?
Yeah, Liz is actually from Texas, so she has memories of Texas. I have just stories of cowboys.
Okay. All right. I've never been to Texas, and I don't think I'll ever get to Texas.
I'll be there in 2020. That's the plan.
Will you?
Yeah. I mean, I've got that whole involvement in the Mises Caucus that I do. Mm-hmm. Bad anarchist I am.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, technically, I think we won at this point. Like, Bill Weld's not gonna be running. So,
did you see it? He just announced that he's gonna do the 2020 Republican thing.
Yeah, I saw. That's what we were all thinking. He is planning on primarying against Trump.
Yeah.
He's gonna
like official.
He's gonna fucking lose.
Well, I don't even know what the point is. Like, is he like trying to build his war chest? Is he just does he really think he can?
He's an egomaniac, clearly.
And that's what I think it boils down to, is that he's out there for himself, and he's trying to build his.
And I think after a year, he realized, well, these libertarians don't buy bullshit. And
better go start selling somewhere
like
else.
some of them do, but some of them don't, and this is not going to get me what I need.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, so I talk to Ben fairly often, but I'm going to be honest. I really don't know much about Ben's taste in music. So why don't we start there, Ben? What do you listen to?
It depends on when. I listen to a lot of things. I don't listen to like pop country. I don't listen to like I just listened to your interview there with Alan, the gold standard Alan.
I'm curious, like, which episode did you listen to?
Oh, jeez.
Because here's the thing. There was a mix-up, and Johnny actually posted the full interview with none of the episode on the Launchpad Media.
No,
feed.
I think it was. I get it. It was straight out of my feed, so I think it was probably the episode.
Okay.
Nice.
But I just.
Oh, you didn't know it was a 2-hour-long episode of just us talking, none of the other stuff.
I did not.
Hey, if you want to really laugh your ass off, I that's one. Like I tell people, like that's one to join the Freedom Choir for, because holy crap, like me and him were just.
Yeah.
We were offending my wife even.
It's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, so I like the jazz guys. I never got into that much. Or the death metal scene, the heavy metal stuff. Like Korn might be as heavy as I will go.
I just wanted to do a spit take so bad at the idea of them anywhere near heavy metal.
Well, I know exactly, right? That's like I just it's not.
I mean, I could maybe go slop metal. I mean, how low can we detune our instruments till they stop making actual noise?
I don't know. It never appealed to me. I did the whole like BMG thing. You get the 11 CDs, 12 CDs, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And, one time I got a Cannibal Corpse album somehow. Ooh. And I put it in. I was just like, "What is?" I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, and I don't know. Never tried again. I'm okay with that. In fairness,
like Cannibal Corpse is pretty rough.
Okay.
You don't remember them from the movie Ace Ventura, do you?
No. Were they in that?
They remember. There's a scene where he's like being chased, and like he runs out onto stage at this concert, and the band is playing, and like he just kind of like pretends that he belongs there.
Oh. Right.
Cannibal Corpse is that band.
Interesting.
I never knew that. I'll have to go watch that movie again.
The dumb shit that you remember when you're
an excuse to watch Ace Ventura. There we go.
So he's given us a whole lot of things he doesn't really listen to.
So all right, like as a kid, I listened to, like, there was a kind of a pop station, Snow, Informer, Spin Doctors, Aerosmith, that sort of stuff, right?
Right.
And my mom was not keen on that. I don't know, whatever it was. So I was, banned from listening to that.
I also want to preface this with, since he lived in upstate New York, this is probably all about 5 years after these bands were popular, because at that time period,
it was probably early 90s, mid 90s, maybe.
Oh no,
I don't know. I don't know when that was. So then I went on to find like classic rock.
Nice. Okay.
And it was one of those mixed stations that plays kind of the newer stuff and some of the classic rock, and then from there it just kind of whatever floats my boat. And I don't know.
Lots of Medeski, Martin and Wood and Mo and
yeah, there's a little bit. Yeah, I the jam bands have their moment. I don't.
Yeah, and that moment was 2003.
I can't sit down and listen to them like straight unless I'm actually doing something.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I mean, so I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying the stuff on my computer. I don't know. Fairly diverse, I think.
Okay. How about this? What's the What's the best concert you've ever been to?
So that's tough, right? Because the first time, so my buddies talked me into going to see Fish in Limestone, Maine. It was the It show in, I don't know, 2002 maybe.
No, that was Vapor Trails by Rush.
I had the opportunity to see Rush and I turned it down.
When was it?
It was probably around then, maybe a couple years before then.
Okay.
I grew up outside of Saratoga Performing Arts Center, a little outdoor arena, and we used to see shows all the time. It was one summer, man. You could donate your organs. If you filled out the card that made you an organ donor, they'd give you free lawn seats to the next weekend show.
Okay.
And I saw so many shows that I gave away all my organs so many times that it was great. I got to see Poison, Quiet Riot, Deep Purple. I mean, just all these they're you wouldn't think to go. I would never pay to go see them, but I can see them for free. This is wonderful.
Well, I know Buffalo used to do all their party in the parks for free until the violence got too bad.
That sucks.
Well, I mean, you're inviting a bunch of people up to a giant park with a free band, and selling them booze as much as they can drink. So
yeah,
it just tended to get a little outlandish. They had good concerts. Was it 2 years ago? Mastodon was a headliner. They're not. They'll have decent shows.
Yeah, and they were okay shows, but so. Yeah, Limestone, and that was a weekend event. That was the first time I saw Fish, and I really didn't like Fish. Most of what I just had heard their albums, their studio cuts, and it just didn't really do much for me. It was kind of okay, but that was my first real Fish show, and it was quite the experience. But I don't know if it was because it was a good concert or because it was the experience.
I think with jam bands in general, the experience tends to be the thing that most people get into. And
it was it was a good time, real good time.
Nice.
I see. He's tripping balls. That's what he's trying to get at.
No, it was
tripping balls.
It was. I don't know.
It was the dancing, man.
It was one of those things. Well, it was, and that was one of the things. I'm not a dancer. I wasn't a dancer. I really didn't. It felt weird. I'm just this funny white dude. I can't dance. And so at the Fish show, I kind of got lost in everything and whatever. And that was when I was this is fun. I don't care. And so I just don't care anymore. Now I'm the weird white guy that dances around, and that's okay. And it was the first kind of experience. I was oh wow, this is fun.
Well, the important thing to remember is that there's only 5 people on Earth who can dance. Well, technically, there's only 4 now since Michael Jackson died.
I was going to say,
and you'll never meet the other 4. So it's just do your thing.
Yeah, and that was what I kind of got out of it, which is weird, but
nobody else can do this either. So just do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was another. Radio station would put on free shows, and this one time they put on the Cat Empire. Ooh. And it was amazing. It was a free show. There was really tiny little outdoor thing, and there was nobody there, and it was great. It was awesome. But it was just a little short show. But
Cat Empire?
the Cat Empire, yeah.
I've never heard of it.
They're out of Australia.
I listen to a lot of foreign bands. It's not ringing a bell.
They're I don't know. Their newer stuff I haven't really listened to. I think their first album was out in 2000 maybe. But they're kind of I don't know what they call them, jazz, ska, fusion. It's just
okay. I was way into Jamiroquai at that point, so I don't know if I would have noticed much else.
I don't know. They it's not the same sound, but it wouldn't be a far stretch to go from one to the other. I don't think.
I have 2 band tattoos.
Yeah.
One of them is the Space Cowboy, and the other one is a strung out logo right next to each other. So hardcore punk next to funk.
Yeah.
Punk and funk.
Punk and funk.
It works. It works.
Okay, so do you get to listen to a lot of music these days? Like, where does that happen?
Yeah, I'm kind of like everybody else. I started listening to podcasts, and music kind of fell to the wayside. Lately I've been doing a lot more with Pandora and stuff.
Nice.
And kind of because there's down here.
Pandora really blows. Get Spotify.
Yeah, I.
Plus, you got like this sweet, extra sweet. Sounds like Liberty playlist on there.
I'm like an old man, I know how to use Pandora and it's easy enough. And
I'm gonna
Spotify,
be honest.
I'd have to
Spotify is actually way easier. Pandora just
is it?
Pandora is clunky, and like the music suggestions on there are garbage. It constantly feeds you the same things over and over again, and half the time it's just crap that they're paid to play for you. Like, I don't know why Dave Matthews Band is on every single freaking every playlist. I was listening to hardcore punk, and all of a sudden Dave Matthews Band popped into the fucking thing.
Sounds kind of punky. Come on.
Yeah, no. I had Pandora for years, and I resisted Spotify, and I'm a contrarian. I have to resist. And now I feel really stupid because it fucking works awesome.
I'll look into it.
And honestly, even their daily mixes are usually pretty on point.
Okay.
Because like when you start liking music on there, it'll create like 4 different types of daily mix for you, with like different moods between all of them. It's whatever their algorithm is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I never had the Dave Matthews problem.
No.
I don't know if I must have somehow put it in settings like never play this.
There's a couple other bands. I can't remember who else was on there, but there was it was Red Hot Chili Peppers is one of the other ones. Somehow the Red Hot Chili Peppers are on every fucking playlist.
I mean, they've done a few different styles over the years.
Yeah.
They have. I think that most I don't know.
I'm sorry, you meant they've done a couple. They've done a couple shitty versions of music over the years.
Yeah, I mean, they all do that, right? I mean, like every band kind of. I don't know that I've listened to anybody that I really like as they mature. Like most bands, I feel like are better in their first 3 or 4 albums, and then they kind of. I don't know. OK
Go's been great every album.
Have they?
Yeah.
But I feel like they're just kind of, I don't know.
They're Chicago people.
They had more than like 2 albums, right?
OK Go's got, 4 or 5?
Something like that.
Do they really?
Yeah, and they're all really fucking good. Well, I mean, they got in with the Flaming Lips producer. Because that's the thing. They had their first album, which was really poppy. Their second album they did with Franz Ferdinand's producer, it was that's the thing. Every album is definitely a little different than all the other ones.
Right.
And I like that, but they never got rid of the thing that made them what they are. And I think that's where a lot of other bands kind of like they'll change, and then eventually they're no longer the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
Like, I don't listen to Green Day because I just don't listen to pop music like that. They're not pop punk anymore. Haven't been in a while.
Right, and that's it. They kind of, I don't know if it's because they get older, or if it's just like you said, they just kind of.
I think it's because they get dumber.
I think it
At
could
least
be a
in Green Day's
combination of
case. He went anti-George W., and then, somehow those people wanted to suck Hillary's dick, and I don't understand that.
No.
She's a bigger war hawk than Bush ever was.
Yeah, I just don't understand
Team Blue.
Anybody can support that,
because they don't think about it.
They're the same thing. It doesn't matter. Either side, they're both want to blow people up over somewhere else. I just don't understand that.
I just want them all to wake up someday.
Someday they might.
Yeah.
I mean, a few people do every now and then.
I mean, I think there's more of us. I wish that people would also get to the economics and not be stupid commies.
That's a whole nother layer there.
So how's everything going in Ancom land over there, buddy?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I tell you,
he made anarchist friends, and then eventually realized they're the other anarchist friends.
Well, I don't know. It was a group. It's a group. Free market, anarchism, and green agorism.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know. It ended up being.
How do ANCOMs find their way into anything that's free market?
Well, I don't understand that from the get go. Like that's like a non-starter, right? But I'm like, sure, I'd love to help on something like that, like putting together a festival or something. And then as we talk about who's coming and who might be there, and it's all these like names that I just want no affiliation with, I have no interest in the Redneck Revolt or Center for a Stateless Society or
Redneck Revolt, I don't know that would bother me terribly. The other one sounded pretty rough from what you were telling me about.
Yeah,
I never heard of it prior to this, so.
Well, I forget what it is, IWW or something, but like it's all the things that surround it, right? It's all the things that go with it. The kind of baggage that it carries, and I don't want to be talking about anti-fascism at the same time that this other group is present, because it's just going to, build off each other. And whereas that might be, okay on its own, and you might be able to have a discussion about those things.
Yeah.
When you get it all wrapped together, it just, will spiral.
Yeah. Next thing you know, Pandy's running through the woods. He's got a knife in his mouth, blood covered, and just slashing people's throats.
Yeah, we don't need any of that.
Yeah. I almost suggested, Tom Woods in
Ooh, he's like, oh,
Florida.
Boy, glad I didn't.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like,
I've been excommunicated.
No, I think I gotta shut it. I can't do it. I can't stomach it.
Yeah, I've got some ANCOM friends, and it's a little frustrating at times. I really don't understand it. And every time I've asked somebody to try to explain it, like I don't get it. It's definitions. Honestly, if you want to boil it down, it's all definitions. Like they're defining things differently than we define them. But those definitions make a big deal on how things function for them. Like,
yes,
I had a buddy who's an ANCOM, and he's by all accounts, he's fuck the state. Let's fucking topple this shit. And if that's a goal, by all means. Like I take the whole ANCAP thing and free markets very seriously, and I honestly believe we'll probably have a socialist and communist societies when everything collapses. And I'm not afraid of that, because I'll just take their land when they all die and homestead it. But I got a lecture about how Rothbard stole libertarian from one of my ANCAPs. I'm like, that's okay, cool. You guys stole liberals, so fuck you.
I know. I and that's always like one of the arguments, right? Like when people, well, libertarian actually meant
who cares? It doesn't anymore.
Like it doesn't matter.
Words change meanings all the time. See, as someone who's actually studied linguistics and fucking like language, the fact that we can communicate at all is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Have you ever? I want you to think about this. When I say dog, what do you picture in your head?
Yeah, some fuzzy four-legged animal.
Well, I know, but you had a particular image in your head. I guarantee it.
I did. I thought Paro. That was the image that popped up in my head. Was Paro. A word that said
nice.
I don't know why, because that's like my one Spanish word.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that I saw a poodle in my head. How the fuck do we even and imagine that's for every single word that we use?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
The idea that people can exchange meaning is fucking ludicrous on its face.
Yeah. And I think that it's probably part of why we are so disjointed. You can't. Doesn't matter what you say. Somebody's going to take it.
Within the libertarian movement, especially, without even on the ANCAP side, we're people that think about this shit a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And definitions and meanings are important. And when it all boils down to it, when you put a lot of import on words, because you have these very, very complicated ideas, Rifts are always going to form, unfortunately.
Yeah, but and that's okay. And I think like that's how you build, you know.
Like I said, I'm looking to collect property from all the failed communist states. So.
I just don't get it. I really like. I don't know.
Lead with your heart, not your mind. You heard Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, good Lord.
And I get it, but like if you want, like I don't understand how anarchy and communism can go together. You have to have a centralized force to distribute all your goods, right? Isn't that like a state? Isn't that
well? And now, just to be fair to their idea, you kind of have to have the same thing in a post state. What do you call it? A post state capitalist society too.
You do, but the thing that is distributing is this sort of entity that's not necessarily controlled by human rationale, right? The market is kind of, it will, if you listen to the market, it will kind of tell you what to do, right? Through supply and demand curves and all that stuff. Whereas when you put it into the human control, then you end up with, you know, guys like Maduro and everybody else, you know. That's
well, if you want to know the truth, really, what see, even you're taking it. Most of them imagine everything functions the same. They just get rid of money. It's all barter, and you just have this stuff.
Yeah, pay each other with saltines.
You know, I'll trade this service for your service, and which is, if you listen to a lot of the agorists, I mean, they'll. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was listening to Mance Raider's show the other day, and I will continue to call him Mance because that's what you get for using a pseudonym. And he had Jack Spirko on a couple, maybe a month ago, and you know, Spirko was talking about, you know, agorism and gray market agorism,
right? And
basically, you know, like I'll trade this service for that, or hey, I'll pay you in guns and shit like that. And I think that they take that whole to its extreme. And well, you might have be able to even have a functional society on that. The complexity of your society is necessarily going to be limited by working that way. But then again, that's I think what a lot of them want. They want an overly simplified society. They don't want to have all the glorious sex toys that we have now. Like,
but that's part of it, though, right? Like you can barter, you can trade. I can, you know, with a bunch of my friends, I can trade vegetables for, you know, your tractor. Or you come help me plant my garden. I get that, you know, and that's. I'm all good with that, but you can't make that the overarching, you know, political system in a country this big.
The non-starter for me, and I'll say this to all of them at any point in time. My society makes room for you. Yours does not make room for me, and that is ultimately my problem.
Right. Yep.
Do you guys want to go collect by yourselves, have your little state, and your little fiefdom, and leave me the fuck alone? I don't give a shit what anyone does.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowed to do that in their society. Like, you have to buy in, and that's where my problem is.
And that kind of, you know, and that's it, right? You boil things down to the NAP, and there you go, right? Like you're forcing other people into your system, you know, whereas my system doesn't necessarily do that. You have that choice, so.
You know, you just got this little pesky thing called ownership that you're allowed to have, and they don't like that.
Yeah, well, you gotta have all the deep resources if you're gonna distribute them all.
I guess. So, all right. Now, do you have any memories that are attached to music?
Ooh.
Like you have the soundtrack moment.
Yeah, driving back and forth to college was like.
What school did you go to again?
I went to St. Lawrence.
Okay.
Up north, up near Canada. But you know, it was all kind of back highways, you know. And so it was an easy drive.
I used to listen to the best of Blur on the way back to college.
See, and that's it. It was American Beauty, or Jimmy Buffett.
Oh wow.
White.
I get everything about Ben now. Like that
Jimmy Buffett
just made it make sense. Oh, he's a fucking parrot head. the mustache, the hair. I got it.
Yeah. And
he's a son of a something. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So those and Revolutionary Volume 2, and those 3 discs always kind of like circulated. And once in a while, a few things would work their way in, but it was just kind of like I always knew, and you kind of there was like 2 McDonald's on the way. You would know like where you were, like okay, I got like a little while till I get to the next one. Just kind of. So when I listen to those, I'll kind of remember, going back and forth to school. And, I don't know.
Nice.
Better days when you had no responsibilities, right?
There's something nice about those memories.
Boy, don't even get me started.
I mean, I had 3 jobs when I was in that headspace, but I did take the long drives.
I did not. I had a lot of time to lift weights and run. That's what I had.
Yep. You start putting kids on there.
Yeah.
Families.
I put the kids off for a long while.
Longer than anybody expected, apparently.
Longer than I expected. I was trying to knock bitches up. It wasn't working.
That was, we won't get into that, but our firstborn was a oops. And, we just kind of went from there. So.
Happy surprise.
Yeah. Irma was, what's the word I want to say here? Apparently there's no stopping this. So we just went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was, one of those, well, okay, here we are.
Apparently meant to be, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we were told that the child was probably going to climb out holding the IUD in her teeth. Rambo style. Bite it in half and then throw the remains at us.
Nice try.
Nice, yeah. Hey, it's meant to be, right?
Yeah, apparently. Okay, so are we up to the big one, Liz?
I believe we are.
So, yeah.
What are your 5 albums then, buddy?
5 albums.
I know that you actually listened to the show, so I know you had to have some prep on this one.
Yeah, I did.
I'm not blindsiding you with it.
And that was almost problematic because.
Oh no!
I think you overthink things. You're like, oh well, no. Let me think about that. No.
I never overthink this question.
I know.
It's literally just whatever's on my head at this moment. I don't care.
Well, and that's it, right? It's like, well, this one's but now today, no, I like this one. So it's, I don't know. And so it depends on kind of
shark fins bookings. Put it down.
No, yeah. But one of the so when we first moved to Georgia, we moved out of New York City. My wife was going to school in Brooklyn, or no, she was in Manhattan. We lived in Brooklyn, and we came down to Georgia because they would pay her to do her residency, and up north you have to pay to do it. And when you're already taking student loans out on that, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So we were down here for a year before we went back up north. So when we were down here, I was listening to a lot of the radio, and I discovered shag music, and which led me to
my favorite carpet-based music.
I delved into that for a while. It was surprising, but Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
Okay.
Sloppy Seconds, and I think that was just because the fact that Shel Silverstein, this guy that you like grew up reading in like 2nd grade, basically like wrote all those songs, and it's just I love the contrast of what I knew of him growing up, and then
they're the
songs
cover of the Rolling Stone guys, right?
Yeah. And as you can tell, like from the
I got a freaky old
Sloppy Seconds,
cocaine Katie, the broad is on.
So not necessarily like the most kid-friendly lyrics then.
Oh no, but that's the thing. Like if you were to actually pay attention to the way the songs are structured, there's a nursery rhyme element to them. I think. Like there would that's probably more problematic because they'd be accessible to a child.
I see.
And that's what I love about it. It's so like you could put it in, and if it was just in the background, you never think twice about it.
Yeah.
When you actually like listen to what's going on, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
I got a freaky old lady named Cocaine Katie who embroiders on my jeans, and my dear old gray-haired daddy driving my limousine.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite lines in that song is, we take all kinds of pills to give us all kinds of thrills, but the thrill we've never known.
I see.
They actually they did. They got their face on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty
I think
true.
it was just a picture, a drawing. It wasn't actually a picture.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it was just like somebody sketched them out, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't think it was an actual picture. I think it was just a sketch.
That's funny.
But yeah, so that has always been one.
Good album.
Jethro Tull, I think that was another band that I kind of fell in love with in high school. And then I, listened to their first couple albums before they're a little more, I don't know, bluesy, a little more, I don't know.
It depends which album.
Progressive. Well, like their first one, right? It wasn't. They changed a lot between their first to Thick as a Brick, right? And I think that's my album there, Thick as a Brick. I don't know. I listened to that one a number of times as a kid growing up, and I think that, I don't know, when I listen, I like to be able to put on an album and just kind of go with it. I don't like skipping around. I don't like, so the fact that.
Well, I mean, that's always been my favorite part of, I think, the prog music thing in general, is that there's a general understanding that an album is an album, and you structure it and put it together in a way that it can be listened to as a unit itself.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to 70s prog, I mean, albums weren't really a thing, and once again, we're back to where they're not really a thing anymore. It's always been about singles.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can get on board with a single here or there, but once we got past it was a Napster and LimeWire, and you started being able to get albums, right? Like, then it was just okay. I would just get the whole album and
give me the context. I want to know what the songs really mean.
Yeah, right. Like, and what what else do they have? What else are they? Because sometimes a single is totally different than the album.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's absolute garbage. But that was so. What else? Elmer Gantry's Velvet Opera.
Never heard of Elmer Gantry. What's this about?
They were, I don't know, in the 60s, psychedelic rock. That was their first album. I think the guitarist and somebody else left, and they had one more after that, Ride a Hustler's Dream, and that was it. But that was one that I just I came upon it by accident, and it was stuck with me. It just I don't know. There's a couple songs on there. One song on there where it's has like a real, like Indian flavor to it with the sitar and string type plucky things, and I don't know.
Cool.
Plucky things.
You know that sound? I don't know what you would call it.
Dulcimer.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. I mean, you picture like your stereotypical like.
Dulcimer's like the bluegrass instrument.
Yeah, it's not so much bluegrass. It's like if you went over to like an Indian like hookah lounge, and there were like belly dancers and.
I think that would still be. I think it's a different type of dulcimer, but I think that's also dulcimer.
All right, just kind of like that, and it just it's just. I don't know.
Because I believe that's the thing with dulcimer. It's used in Indian music and bluegrass. Two very similar styles, All
right. And so that one's there. I just one of those that I enjoyed.
Very cool.
I'll have to look that one up. I never heard of it.
Yeah.
And then
Elvin Bishop comes next.
What? Who's that?
He knows Elvin Bishop.
Dan Deacon. Annie Deacon, Wham City. One of my friends introduced me to that, and that was like my first, I don't know, electronic dance music that I've ever listened to, and probably the only electronic dance music that I listen to. But
I'll often play it for Irma.
She'd probably love that. She's like a little club kid.
Yeah, my kid is a burgeoning EDM kid. Like, I think I played just a little too much Goldfish when she was growing up.
And she's just like all about it. Where are my glow sticks right
Yeah,
now.
and I played her some videos the other day of actual like concert footage from like big EDM shows, and she was all about it. So I think when she's probably like maybe 14 or 15, me and her will start hitting festivals and stuff.
Yeah, that'll be fun, right?
Yeah, it'll be something.
I haven't been to a show in forever, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine going to a show now. I don't know.
I would love it.
I would, but
we've also talked about doing the whole refurbished bus thing, and like that's just our life. Like I think of the ideal life would just be us touring nomadically and like hanging out at concerts with my kid.
Like, this seems cool. Let's stop here.
No, it would be fun. It would be a lot of fun, but I don't know how it would work.
Why not?
Imagine being.
You don't want to have to corral the kids?
I guess if you have.
Are you trying to keep them normal or something?
No, they're no. My wife and I are both. There's no way they're getting out of this normal.
He's like, I met a freaky old lady that goes up.
The ship has sailed.
No, they're homeschooled, and they have me and my wife as parents, and they're just not gonna be normal.
I'm all about embracing the weird.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And so lastly, I think 40 Ounces to Freedom.
Did you watch my video the other day? I think the song I played was on there.
I don't know.
I did.
Where was the video?
I did a Facebook Live last night.
Oh no.
And I opened up with Boss DJ.
Okay. I was it on your thing, or was it in the Sounds Like Liberty?
I might post it in Sounds Like Liberty today. No, I did it off of my personal page, and that was actually linked from my production page for my live music.
Okay.
Just
I'm trying to go through and fix all the notifications on the stupid groups.
I spent some time doing it yesterday myself.
Yeah, it's a big pain in the backside.
Okay, well, now, since I have you on here, I feel like I have to ask. So, Freedom Song 365.
Yes, sir.
What are our thoughts as the first person who signed up? He's like, I don't want to answer this question.
I enjoy it. Some of the songs, like it's, I've been able to use some of the songs, because I'll go look, on YouTube and listen to them, before I read what you guys all have to say.
Interesting.
And it's there's music on there that I haven't listened to before. And to be honest with you, that was how I first came to Jordan Page. Was through you guys.
Interesting, because he's probably one of the bigger independents that we put on there.
Yeah.
And now he's everywhere this week.
He is. I was trying to get him to come over here. He actually does some homeschooling. So.
I mean, he's got like 1 million kids too. Like he's.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's I enjoy being exposed to the new music. I enjoy being able to read you guys your thoughts on things, and sometimes see things a little differently, or just be.
I mean, some of those we're probably reaching a little bit.
Sometimes, but I mean,
I did tie Belinda Carlisle into Walter Block last week, so.
But it's there though, you could make that. You could, it's not,
For me, I wanted to use the art that's out there to try and explain and emphasize the, the messages. I mean, it's, even if some of the songs are inherently like libertarian, which a lot of them are, questionable at best, but you can still use the principles that, are in there to teach the lessons. And teaching the lessons is, to me, the most important part about it.
And that's that's what I think. Yeah, and that like you can use what's already out there. It might not necessarily be libertarian. It might not necessarily be like liberty oriented, but those ideas that can convey liberty are there. They do exist. You have to thresh them out, but we have it in our society. We have it like built in. People, appreciate it. They just, I don't think they understand it,
Yeah. And the further we get away from understanding it, I feel like the echoes are there, the further away from it we get, but even those might be dying out a little bit. Yeah. We're way off the beaten path here. I think we got to go see what the hell our kid's up to.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
So, well, thanks a lot for coming on, Ben.
Awesome
What do you want to
me.
plug while we got you here?
homesteadsandhomeschools.com. That'll take you to the website that will take you to the podcast of the same name.
Indeed.
And you got your email set up? Starting to take subscribers?
I know. I got to set that up.
Yeah, you do.
I did it backwards. I did got the website set up and I got the podcast set up, and now I just have to make a little landing page, I guess, for MailChimp or whatever.
Is that what you're gonna go with? Is MailChimp?
Well, I think so. I used to use Clavio, but they don't have a WordPress plugin. The WordPress plugin they have, I have to purchase a bigger WordPress plan, and I don't feel like doing that. So.
I see.
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited.
So, Facebook,
You got
all the same.
Do you have any fun guests coming up that we should be know about?
I don't know. Sherry Voluntary is on next Tuesday, but I don't know when this is going. So she'll be on there. And then after that, I don't know exactly the order people will come in. But we'll have some interesting.
Which is your favorite thing to talk about as far as homeschools or homesteads?
Probably growing things. That's more my. I used to be a teacher, and while I enjoy it, it's useful. It's not my passion necessarily. I'd rather go put things in the garden and grow some animals and harvest some food and take care of things that way. But the education side of it is something, and I it's interesting to see because we all have our own little stories, our own ways of doing things. And like Sherry has a kid, she has two kids, and one is like regular homeschooled, and the other one is unschooled. And it's kind of interesting how do you juggle that, or how do you unschool your kids and all that. It's I don't know. So it's kind of interesting to see the different angles of homeschooling.
Yeah, we'll have to get Liz on in another 10 years, and ask her how. The difference between being homeschooled and actually homeschooling.
Yeah. Some perspective by then.
You start next year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically we've already started.
Yeah, we're doing bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting.
We did the 2-liter tornado the other day.
Oh yeah. With the bottles.
It's such a pain in the butt. I hate that thing.
I know it was frustrating on a lot of levels.
I don't know why you guys have such frustration with it. You put 2 liters together and you fill it with fucking water.
You got to have a gasket in there.
Yeah.
You got to come up with a gasket. Otherwise, it leaks all over the place. And then you got to balance it. You got to cut it right.
No, you use Gorilla Tape, and then you have nothing.
You just brute force that thing, and that's why you're excited about it.
Now, granted, when I was a kid, they actually had like a thing that you put in there.
I mean, they probably do
did.
if you want to go to a science shop and get one, but
yeah. What I'm gonna see, mine's not perfect yet. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna use a steel washer in there to get the small hole.
We tried it. I ended up getting I don't even know what it was. Some sort of rubber, like it might have been an old like bike tire tube that I had laying around for patches or whatever that I just cut out and shoved that in between. That works.
That's one thing I do love about your website there. You've got the whole blog that you've done. There's all sorts of cool stuff that you've done. Like Jimmy.
We try,
making stuff.
Yeah, I used to make shoes. Yeah. I got to upload a video of that, making some sandals.
That's pretty cool.
How do you make your sandals?
Rubber cement.
Okay.
Rubber
No,
cement.
it was just like, so you get you can buy like sheets of like Vibram rubber and like different materials, and you just kind of glue them together. And I have a couple different patterns that I've used.
And what do you use for your, the top parts?
I don't make uppers, so it's just basically like a sandal. But I've used them.
Well, no, but I mean, like, so how do you do the actual thing that holds it to your foot part?
Oh,
Leather.
I've got paracord for like Hirachis, or I have some nylon webbing that I've used.
I'm interested in this.
Clips.
I mean, I wear almost exclusively flip flops.
I mean, knowing me, I'd probably just crochet that sucker.
We've never
make
talked
it work.
about it on the show. I hate fucking shoes. From when I used to read, when I went to college and ran cross country, it made me despise wearing shoes because I spent so much fucking time in them.
Yep.
That I gave up on them entirely. Just flip flops.
Yep. Since moving down here, I always used to wear Birks. Birkenstocks, and since moving down here, the only time I've worn shoes is to go to court. Really.
Nice.
I don't know that I'd wear shoes to go to court either.
You're like, I'm a hobbit. It's against my religion.
I'd have to show up in the first place.
It was for the adoption stuff, so it was kind of
that's kind of important.
It wasn't like I wasn't in trouble. If I was in trouble, I probably would have been a little more disdainful. But even then, my shoes were like blue, and they were old running shoes that I had laying around. So,
what kind of running? You were like an ultra marathoner?
I was for a little bit.
I always wanted to get into that. Never made the leap to ultra marathoning.
You still could.
I tell you, man, it was.
I gotta lose a lot of weight before we get there, honey.
It's fun. There's something about knowing that you can go run like 100 miles if you absolutely had to, that you can cover that ground. It's just like, okay, I can do that. Like if there's like an apocalypse, like I'm not getting
caught.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm getting the fuck away.
But I like you, I jacked up my Achilles, and
Oh, jeez.
just hasn't been right since. And I can still run around and kick a soccer ball around with the kids and play with them. So I got that, and that's good enough for now.
Yeah, I was capable of dealing with the torn Achilles alone, and then I ripped my shoulder out of the socket, and then that became now a torn Achilles and a torn rotator cuff, and
If you hit the lottery, you should look into stem cell therapy.
Yeah,
I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard real good things about that. Of course, it's fairly expensive, but
you got to go to Mexico to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about that. If you could, I bet it should be a fair bit cheaper.
I mean, or just go hang out at Planned Parenthood and then like eat the babies. That's how they do that, right?
I'm pretty sure that's not how that works.
No?
No.
How do you think it works, Liz?
You're supposed to rub it on the skin.
I would just go to Mexico. I'm sure they've got someone who knows what you do with it.
And it's funny is it's a Mexican guy who's cracking open the babies and then rubbing them on your skin, exactly like I said. But it's a Mexican guy, so it's cheaper.
It's just so awful.
What was that? That was the episode of South Park where they had Michael, the guy who played Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Reeves.
Christopher?
And he was eating the babies, and just had like piles of them, and that's how he cured his, paralysis.
It's just awful.
It was awful.
For the longest time, I thought Christopher Reeves was the other smart guy in a wheelchair.
Tony. Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
I wanted to say
No,
Tony.
I didn't realize there was a difference.
Coincidentally, I think I heard like the actual Christopher Reeves was kind of a son of a bitch before he was in the wheelchair, and like he became this paragon of hands across America for this thing horrible thing that happened to this person, and you're like, yeah, but he's kind of a fuckface.
That's what I heard. Because I think. A grain of salt.
He was Superman,
I think it was all during that like Me Too thing when it was really heavy, and I think, I don't know.
God, fucking me too. Is that still going on?
Probably.
I don't know. I think it's always gonna be going on.
On some level, yeah.
Terrible. All right, Ben. Well, you have yourself a good day, man. Thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
See you later.
Cling to your role and work till your heart can